Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack your source material, distilling it down to the core insights, really giving you that comprehensive understanding of the topics shaping our world. Today, wow, we've got quite a mix. We're jumping into sources covering global conflict, market volatility, and even the nuts and bolts of the everyday economy. It's quite the journey.
It really is, and our job, as always, is to pull these different threads together for you, connect the dots, and show not just what's happening, but I think more importantly, why it matters.
Okay, let's dive in then. We're starting with a pretty stark look at the conflict in Ukraine. Our sources seem to offer a particular angle on Russia's strategy. What's jumping out there?
Well, what's really fascinating is this direct comparison the sources make to the Soviet Union's experience back in Afghanistan. The key takeaway for Russia from that, according to the source, was the absolute failure to control and maintain their supply lines when they pushed deep into the country, a critical mistake.
Right, the logistics nightmare. So they're trying not to repeat that in Ukraine. How are they adapting based on what our sources suggest?
It seems they're adapting by trying to force the Ukrainians to fight in areas that are, let's say, more advantageous for Russian forces, specifically places where they can try to evacuate civilians first, leaving ideally just combatants behind.
Ah, okay. And this allows Russia to impose what the sources call a war of attrition. Sounds grim.
It is. It's designed to grind down the opponent. But the sources also point out, pretty wisely, I think, that it's a two-edged sword.
A two-edged sword.
Yeah.
How so? What's the other edge?
Well, while that grinding happens, it actually gives the Ukrainians something incredibly valuable.
Which is?
Time. Crucial time. Time to prepare to dig in.
And what are they doing with that time? The sources talk about building fortifications, these gates. What is those exactly? It sounds very strategic.
Yeah, gates is a useful way to think about it. They're not literal gates, of course, but more like heavily fortified defensive lines, strategic choke points, really. The idea is to funnel Russian advances into these specific areas where Ukrainian defenses are strongest, making it costly for Russia to push through. Bottlenecks, essentially.
Okay, so Ukraine sets up these defensive gates. What's Russia's counter? How do they respond to that tactic?
Well, the sources then point to Russia's adjustment. They've started trying to bypass these fortifications altogether. They're moving to encircle the cities instead, sometimes focusing on one city, sometimes attempting to encircle two at the same time. It's very fluid, very dynamic, a real strategic chess match.
A constantly shifting landscape. Okay, let's pivot now. Completely different world, corporate finance, market dynamics. Our sources flag something interesting with United Health.
That's right. United Health apparently missed their earnings targets recently, and that miss initially caused their stock price to really plunge, hit new 52-week lows, actually.
Ouch. But then there's a twist. The sources say it's making a comeback, even higher than some predictions.
Yeah, quite the turnaround, it seems. The stock has been climbing. But, and this is a big but highlighted in the sources, United Health is apparently heading to court soon. And nobody really knows how that verdict will land. It's a major unknown hanging over them.
Right. So potential upside, but also significant risk. And just to be clear for everyone listening, this isn't financial advice we're giving here.
Absolutely not. Just relaying the key points from the source material. Crucial context, though.
Got it. Okay, sticking with tech, NVDA comes up next, earnings report due August 27th. What's the caution mentioned here?
Again, the sources advise caution. They specifically mention, quote, seeing what happened to AMD, presumably a reference to a previous negative reaction. And they also point to the ongoing trade policies by Donald Trump as another external factor to keep in mind. Again, just informational context, not advice.
Understood. Okay, zooming out from individual stocks, the sources look at the broader market, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow Jones. They mention Friday, August 15th as a nothing market day. What does that mean?
Yeah, a nothing market day. Basically, a day where trading is super flat, very low volume, minimal price movement. Like the market's just stuck in neutral.
Everything just stands still.
Pretty much. And the sources note we seem to be getting more of these standstill days than anything else lately. It suggests maybe a kind of waiting game. Investors needing to, as the source puts it, understand and consider those openings as the market was closed, implying potential gaps or shifts when things do start moving again.
Interesting. So this general stagnation, the sources actually link this, maybe controversially, to Fed leadership. They pose a question about Jerome Powell.
They do. It's quite pointed, actually. The source asks if he'll remain Fed chair and expresses a pretty strong opinion, suggesting he should resign out of embarrassment and directly connecting his policies to this whole nothing happened in the market situation we were just discussing. It's a definite critique.
Wow, okay. Strong words there. Now let's shift again, this time to how we perceive the world around us, specifically through the lens of the mainstream media. Our sources have some sharp criticisms here.
Yeah, there's a central argument that the media often fails to address the real problem we are facing.
Hmm.
Instead, the source claims they focus on things like, quote, genes and some other nonsenses just to get views, while in their view, society is degrading.
That's a pretty broad claim. Do they get more specific? I remember something about 247 news networks.
They do. They criticize those networks for supposedly reporting on everything, but allegedly, without actually sending people out to investigate, reporting from the office, basically.
Yeah.
A claim of disconnect.
A disconnect. And they offer an example of this, right? Something about cash.
Yes, a really vivid one. A journalist on a panel apparently declared, the American society is cashless. No one uses cash anymore. And according to the source, the whole panel agrees with her, just accepts it as fact.
Wow. But the source argues that's just not true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially outside big cities.
Exactly. The source points out, look, many rural areas don't even have reliable phone signal. Forget constant internet. Cash is absolutely essential there.
Makes sense.
And it's not just rural spots. Even places with good internet sometimes have outages, right? Or the source mentions businesses just can't afford the card network fees, so they literally unplug the debit card scanner. It's a practical reality.
They even share a story, don't they? At a gas station.
Yeah, in a big American city, no less. This gas station apparently didn't do enough volume to make covering the credit and debit card fees worthwhile for small transactions. So they just made a rule. Cards only accepted for purchases over $10. Even though people often buy less than that at a gas station, you know, a drink, a snack.
Right, so you need cash for those smaller buys.
Precisely. And the source finds this incredibly ironic. You have this everyday reality playing out, and then you have, quote, a journalist sitting in New York City and making some wild claim like Manhattan is the United States.
A powerful contrast between a media narrative and lived experience on the ground.